everyone. I'm Mitch Ashley.
And I'm Alan Schimmel.
And you're listening to
Security Boulevard Chats.
Absolutely. Alan, good to be back on the podcast trail. I feel like we're on the road again. We're doing
on the road, like Bob Hope and Bing Crosby.
Yeah,
I don't know how many people remember that. Maybe we should look for a horse track. I don't know. You crooner.
Doing our USO tour.
Yeah. Now we're really dating ourselves.
Yeah, we are.
Easy on that one. But
okay,
Mitch, it's good to be back on the podcast. For those who have been listening, we relaunched Security Boulevard podcast and the DevOps Chats podcast. They're separate. And you can follow DevOps Chats and Security Boulevard Chats on any of your favorite podcasting platforms or on TechStrong TV. Mm-hmm. I think we also play them on DevOps.com and SecurityBoulevard.com.
Yeah, they play on there. And Cloud Native Now is podcast and
right.
A lot of great
and
stuff.
Digital CXO podcast, TechStrong AI podcast. Yeah. There's a new one coming up. We'll tell you about it next week. And of course, our CISO Talk, our TechStrong Women and DevOps Unbound podcast, as well as TechStrong Unplugged, which our own Natan Solomon does, and it's really aimed at kids coming out of college, trying to figure out how they get in that first gig in tech.
Absolutely, great stuff.
Very
got a lot
cool.
of whether you're security, software, cloud native,
AI, whatever it is, we got you covered here at TechStrong.
We've got your podcast. Well, so let's chat a little bit. You'd picked out a couple things on.
Yeah, I wanted to go over a couple of things, Mitch. One article is by our friend Richie Jennings. For those of you who may not know, Richie's over in the UK, and he does a blog watch column, I think once a week, maybe more. And in it, he kind of picks out a timely topic that's being covered around the web and has excerpts of what people have blogged about on that topic. So the one I chose for this week actually just ran last week, right? And it was the U.S. will fight Russian disinformation, hacks and leaks, and deep fakes. Oh my! Richie has a what's the word? Acerbic sense of humor. Yes. Sometimes people get rubbed the wrong way.
That. Whatever that means.
That was a good word, Mitch. I pulled it.
That was a
I
college
pulled
word.
it out of there. Yeah, that was one of my SAT or LSAT words. Yeah. Anyway, though, but the point is, someone over at the State Department, made the announcement so we could all sleep well at night that the U.S. government and State Department will be fighting Russian and Chinese disinformation campaigns using AI and not that may try to influence or skew our elections. Well, thank goodness for that.
You sleep under the blanket of protection that I offer.
That I provide. You can't handle the truth. But seriously, look, this is a very serious topic, all kidding aside, right? Unfortunately, I don't think the U.S. State Department is equipped at all to combat this. But that being said, Mitch, what do we have to do to safeguard the integrity of our elections?
It is a perplexing question because our use of social media, our other parties wanting to influence, mainly Russia, but I'm sure there's other actors, China and others, who are creating this information. There's really no good way to tell, is that true? Is that really true? Other than doing your research, right? Whether going to trust sources you trust, because hopefully they're accurate and Snopes and things like that. It seems to me, though, that the State Department of doing this, they're labeling it, right? They're saying this is, I don't know what word they're going to use, but let's say misinformation. Well, that's the government labeling or categorizing, saying what's fake and what's not.
And who's to say what their bias is?
Yeah, I think all those conspiracy theorists will really appreciate, the government.
Well, what was interesting, Mitch, is, there was the argument in the Supreme Court last week around the two state laws from Florida and Texas trying to regulate the social media companies in terms of free speech and what they can censor or not or label or what have you. And the Supreme Court justices seem to be against the two state laws.
Yeah.
But one of the distinctions they made as to why they were against it is the social media companies are not the government. Right? The government has
I hadn't heard that.
a different burden regarding freedom of speech than a private company does.
They're supposed to have the
So
public
now you're going to
interest.
get the State Department labeling stuff, and they have to respect freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, a private entity doesn't. Florida and Texas, and I'm sorry I took us down a legal angle here,
No,
but
it's fine.
Florida and Texas were making the argument that these social media companies are akin to a public utility, and that therefore they had to get treated similar to a government entity in respecting freedom of speech. And the justices, from at least the oral arguments, we haven't seen the written opinion, but from the oral arguments, the justices did not buy into that. They're still private companies. I don't see how the State Department does that without running afoul of freedom of speech.
I mean, everybody has to abide by it. Well, you're right in terms of a public forum, and the government has to support that. So let me ask, if I label something I'm the State Department, and I label what you just produced on Facebook, whatever platform, and I say, that's fake. What Alan just posted is fake. Is that infringing on your free speech right?
Yeah, it sure is. I'm marching off the court and saying you've infringed on my freedom of speech.
Yeah, you're
now the
telling
State Department will say, no, I let you say it. I just said that it's bullshit.
Exactly. I mean, it seems to me that I can't see this either solves anything for that reason or builds trust in the information we're reading because the government has said it's valid.
But Mitchell, just because this may not be a successful solution doesn't diminish the problem.
No,
I saw another report this week that just between Russia and China, approximately 75% of all your malware and this kind of stuff comes from Russia and China.
Mm-hmm.
At some level, freedom of speech or not, you got to start thinking, hey, I want to close my southern border to immigration. I want to close my electronic border to nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If 75% of... Yeah, absolutely. Then we could all do what they do in China, which is run VPNs to get around that firewall of China. But nevertheless, it brings up a real problem, Mitch. We got an election coming up. It's probably going to be another close one, right? Because how fast can 80-year-olds run?
Yeah. Yeah,
Both
that'll be a long race.
Yeah. But, is interference from foreign governments and we didn't even have AI deepfakes last time. We're going to have a lot more this time.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be enough to tip a state or two? Because that may be all it takes.
Well, not that Russia would
problem.
follow our laws, but sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there.
No.
I think yesterday that either the Senate or House, probably Senate, was a few folks are working on a law that says you can't use or you must disclose the use of AI in any political ads.
Yeah, when we outlaw guns, only outlaws will have guns, right?
I'm sure the Russians, brought to you by Putin.
Hello, comrade. Please be advised. This is a Netsky, AI.
Now get back in line for your bread.
Doskadonia, whatever the heck it is. But
your borscht is getting cold. Oh, it's already cold.
Yes. It's ludicrous. I mean, so what's the answer? The answer is the same thing we've been trying to come to terms and grapple with, since social media really burst on the scene, I would say in 2004, 2008, maybe between 2008 and 2012. Mm-hmm. Quite frankly, I think actually President Obama was probably the first political campaign that really leveraged social media. Right. Mm-hmm. I think John McCain was a little out of, Sarah Palin was watching Russia from her porch and Barack Obama was all over Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And But so even though that was 2008, so that was, 16 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
as a society, the world, not just the US, has not been able to separate truth from bull,
Mm-hmm.
fact from fiction, quality from nonsense when it comes to social media posting.
Mm-hmm.
And what we've done instead, at least in the US and maybe the EU a little bit, is we were relying on the Twitters, Facebooks, LinkedIn's, Google, Apples of the world to kind of filter for us
Mm-hmm.
by taking out stuff that was really, and they weren't doing a great job, but they were probably taking the worst of the worst down. Now, of course, that's one of the reasons Elon Musk bought Twitter X and drove it to hell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if those companies aren't the ones to regulate it, we got to assume it's never going to be regulated. And the real answer is educate users to do a better job of separating fact from fiction,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's probably going to take, the generations coming up now, these AI native folks and the Gen
Digital
Z. I
natives.
think the Gen Z still don't get it, but it may take a generation, Mitch, for people to be able to, do
We
this right.
almost need that A-bomb moment of something so big happening with fake information. Maybe it's an election, maybe it's not. But some, I've said that too about security and ransomware and stealing data. Some data will be big enough that it'll have, that seismic kind of event. That hasn't happened, but I don't know. It is a perplexing problem. I certainly don't have many answers about
No,
what to do to
no.
solve it. Even Krebs, remember he was on in one of
Sure,
our
Brian Krebs.
Brian. He was on one of the news programs. I saw him, and he basically said you have to go back and check the sources and do fact checking and see if who was saying it or if someone else can validate it that you trust. Essentially, was it came back to. So you're gonna enter a world where you don't know if anything's true, and you're gonna have ways of validating what is and not what isn't.
And I think, unfortunately, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, I think so too.
Right? I
Unfortunately.
think, there are nation state actors, there are unscrupulous politicians and political movements. Go back to Nazi Germany. They were the first, they made propaganda a religion,
Mhm.
right? And Goebbels said, the bigger the lie, the more you say it, the more people will believe it.
Yep. The more often you say it.
Yeah. And it pains me to say this, but he's right, or they're right. And it's gotten to the point, Mitchell, where like I don't believe 90% of what, and I'm a easygoing person, I think, but I don't believe 90% of what I see online, whether it comes from those I identify with or those I don't. I'll go back and go look, just what Brian said to do. I'll go back and go look. Like Incredulous this week, the Florida Surgeon General said it's a parent's decision on whether kids who had been exposed to measles should come to school or not, because it's not up to us to tell a parent to vaccinate their child. So I read this and I said, this can't be true. This is fucking ridiculous. What am I, crazy? So I didn't repost it or say anything at first. I then went and I looked up and I saw the video and I saw the letter that was sent and I saw multiple reports, all exactly the same. I said, oh my God, I would have thought for sure this is nonsense. But no, it's not nonsense. It's just Florida men. And, that's the world we live in. Just, truth is stranger than fiction. When it comes to Florida. And go figure.
like the Saturday Night Live. I forgot who the host was, but they're doing a skit on playing basketball, and the guest would shoot and miss, and he figured out he'd gone to some course about all you have to do is say is that you did it. So he says, I hit it. It was good. I got a point for that. And they're all like, oh, okay, all right.
Go along with the flow. But I think for the sake of humanity and civilization, we need people who aren't going to go along with the flow. Yeah. Who are going to say, hey, wait a second here. Is this really true? Right? They're not selling children out of some pizza shop in DC or whatever that conspiracy theory was, right?
Whatever.
Yeah. Pizza. So, but
I did confirm something though. Social media was very helpful to me today. I confirmed something I'd always wondered. In the original Star Trek, you remember when they were getting bombarded by, whatever phasers or photon torpedoes from some, the Romulans or Klingons, and everyone on the ship would be doing this and they'd be doing that and, doing that. Well, somebody posted a picture that showed the crew doing that. And above it, someone had made a rocking chair that looked exactly like the Starship Enterprise. And the kid was
just pushing the whole Starship. That's pretty funny.
That's what that was.
No, that wasn't a deep fake or anything. No, that was real.
All. Not at all.
That was real. So, I'll tell you something I found out on social media today that may blow your mind. Okay, and I saw it on a Facebook post. I didn't believe it. I went back, I Googled everyone's name and pictures, and sure as heck it was true. So, Mitch, I'm a big Godfather movie fan. I love The Godfather.
You have a lot of quotes from The Godfather.
Everything you need to learn in life, you can learn from watching the Godfather movies. Mm-hmm. And like many of us, I'm also a Sopranos fan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Oh, yeah. One of the best TV shows ever. David Chase, and the whole, David Chase was the producer, but just the whole cast of Sopranos, and the writers, and that, just the show's amazing. But here's something that'll blow your mind. If you remember in Godfather 2, Hyman Roth, Sicilian messenger boy, he was called, Johnny Orla, right? Good old Johnny Orla knew this town like the back of his hand. Here's an orange from our friend in Miami. Johnny Orla is the actor who plays Johnny Orla is Uncle Junior in The Sopranos.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. Go Google it yourself. Check it out.
I'm going to have to look. I'm trying to picture
that was a revelation. What we talk about here at Security Boulevard. But anyway, that was amazing to me. Amazing.
It is funny when you watch the older films and TV shows and stuff. How many actors that are really famous you've gotten to know were like babies.
Recycled.
They're really young. They look like they're 14, 18 or something. Yeah. You're like, wow, I didn't know they were acting back then. Of course, nobody knew who they were.
Blew my mind. That's anyway, amazing. Mitch, moving right along.
On to our next security topic.
Yeah. Well, this is sort of a security topic. It's important to us. So, Mitch, you were there when we started the Security Bloggers meetup at RSA. I think it was 2003 or 2004.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And then in like 2004,
there were like 12 of us that went to that first one. It was not.
Yeah, it wasn't maybe more than 12, but it was Rich Mogul, I think Mike Rothman, Martin McKay, UI, a bunch of other folks.
Yeah,
but
small group of
Michael Farnham was there. Anyway, and then we started the Security Bloggers Network, which is alive and healthy as ever on Security Boulevard. It represents probably the majority of more than the majority, a super majority of the stories on the Boulevard come from the Bloggers Network. But blogging's not what it was in 2004 and 2005. Today, many of us create security-related content, some by blogs and written articles, some by podcasts like this, some by videos, audio, various, security content creators. And, and the highlight of the Bloggers Network was always the Bloggers meetup at RSA Network every year, at RSA conference every year, excuse me. He's always Wednesday. No marketing zone. And what a great
At Jillian's used to be
at
anyway.
Jillian's, and yeah, until that closed. But the people who have been coming to that with us for 20 years, I mean, A, they're now giants in the industry, but B, they're really good people that we've grown to love and respect.
Good friends.
But for the last couple of years, Mitchell, we've made it it hasn't gotten its due because I didn't focus on it personally. The situation in San Francisco was hard to get a place to make it.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, here's to us and those like us, damn few left.
Sitting around the barrel playing checkers while, what happened to our bloggers network when we weren't watching it?
Remember when we used to blog? So I've wanted to revitalize it now for a couple of years and bring it forward to today's time. And, it was actually, I spoke to Rich Mogul and Jennifer Leggio, two of the people who helped start the Bloggers Meetup with me. And, the idea was tossed around, instead of calling it Security Bloggers Network, maybe we call it Security Creators Network, SCN. And I love that idea because I think that's much more engrossing what today's
whatever the medium
content
is, right?
Yeah,
Doesn't matter what form, it's still sharing ideas, communicating, advancing the knowledge base.
Yep. And so I've wanted to do this, but I didn't want to just change the name to change the name. I wanted to wrap it around. So I also been talking with Gianna from the Security Marketing Professionals Society, or I think that's it. Yes. About helping me, because I want to bring a new, fresh audience in.
Yeah.
I want to bring some of the younger people. I want to bring
branch out.
The people who are creating content. And again, we're talking about their help coming in. But I've been able to locate a place to do it at RSA. Jack Daniels and a couple of the people used to do TongaCon every year at the Tonga Room. I don't know if you remember it. Polynesian theme. They give out leis. Mitchell, you and I had many a drink there over the years.
I don't remember of any of that. I was there, but I don't remember.
You were there. You probably lost something there. But anyway.
Sure, some podcasting equipment. I don't know what it is.
It wasn't there, it was a W. But anyway, I'm not gonna rip that Band-Aid off the wound.
Thank you very much.
We'll let sleeping dogs lie. But anyway,
oh my God.
So, Jack's not doing TongaCon anymore. Jack's kind of retired. And my friend Jeff Mann suggested I call the Tonga Room. And I did. And I've been able to, it looks like lockdown. I'm not going to take the whole room because I don't think we're going to have 450 people. But to take down a good portion of it to more than cover what we need. We'll have some good food, some good drinks. And we're going to relaunch for RSA, the Security Bloggers Network, as the Security Creators Network. And we're going to do our first Security Creators Network party. I don't think we're going to do awards this year, next year. But Security Creators Network party at it. And to honor the heritage of TongaCon, we're going to try to take some of the essence of what made TongaCon such a great party as well. And
Polynesian drinks?
Well, that for sure. Yeah. But, actually, okay. Actually, Mitch, I was going to throw it out to our audience. If any of you are TongaCon attendees or TongaCon, helped with TongaCon, sponsor, etc., write to us, reach out to me. Alan at DevOps, ALAN at DevOps.com. And tell me what you liked best about TongaCon and what can we include in the Security Creators Meetup that kind of honors that TongaCon heritage, meaning we're doing it in the Tonga Room. And we'd love to get that in there. I think it'll be a nice touch, Mitch.
We would.
Yeah.
Are we going to have sponsors? Because we've always had sponsors. Or we do.
Well, it makes it real hard to pay for these things without sponsors.
I was going to say, thank God we have sponsors because that's how we do it.
So I'll be looking for sponsors. One company was suggested. I'm reaching out. We'll be looking for more. Gianna and the Security Marketing Professional Society hopefully will help with that as well. But there will be Eventbrite registrations and everything else. But we're back. We're back
We're
with
back.
our own show, not borrowing someone's venue, with our own party. It's going to be the Wednesday of security of RSA. Probably start around 5:30, run till 7:30 or something like that, so people can go to their next parties and partake, party the night away. But I'm really pumped about it, Mitch. And it's not just the party at RSA. I think this will revitalize.
Mm-hmm.
There's 400 blogs or whatever in the Bloggers Network, but I want more kinds of content, security related content. And we're going to open the roles up and bring people in with this.
People's YouTube channels, their TikTok, their
Everything.
Instagram, their,
Yep.
maybe they're writing in a different form somewhere somehow. And it's to broaden the forms, but it's also, as you were saying, deepen the generational aspect of this, right? We've been doing this for a while, and there are folks who are doing great work, better than, what we may have done. They're advancing it from where we are today, and we want to help them have that voice, get that out there.
Security Creators Network. That's what it's about. So we're excited.
Fantastic.
Stay tuned for more information on that.
Sounds
Good
really
stuff.
great. Good
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm excited. All right. What other security stuff? Is there anything else on the docket for today, Mitch?
I think have we hit everything? I think we talked a little bit about the whole governments doing takedown of ransomware groups. That was a Techstrong gang topic.
Yeah, that was a Techstrong gang discussion. You're right. And I'm forgetting the ransomware group that they took down now.
I could tell you in a minute, but
we'll find it. But what was interesting is they made a huge announcement that it was taken down, and then 2 days later, it's back up.
Yeah. The whack-a-mole.
Yeah. Well, this is the problem when you have nation states that, if they don't outwardly support these gangs, they turn a blind eye to them.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it was like, we were discussing about, they're going after the big ones, right? Because it's sort of like going after Kingpin. You were talking about the Godfather earlier, and then there's, thousands, millions, billions of small, medium and small things happening that are probably leveraging a lot of the same tools, right? But LockBit was the name of
LockBit. That's it. You're right. LockBit.
That I remember.
And it's back. And so, look, I applaud the government for their efforts. I applaud, a lot of the companies that get involved in this. But this just gives you a peek into how insidious these and deep-rooted these things are. It's terrible. It was interesting. I woke up this morning, as I often do, really early. It was about 5:30 in the morning. And I checked my email just because I don't know, something's the matter with me. But I checked my email, and I got a message from Google because my son's email, I'm the emergency contact, I guess, or whatever. And Google sent out an email from my son's account that says, "You're the emergency contact. We've seen his password on the dark web. Change your password immediately. We're disabling the account."
Oh.
So at first, being the cyber pro that I am, I said, "Oh, this is a fish."
Yeah. Quick, here, click this link, son.
Yeah. So I went to log into his email, and sure enough, it was real. Google. And I got to tell you the truth, I was pretty amazed that Google, I mean, it must be automated, right? I can't imagine there's people doing that. But kudos to Google for doing it. It was a regular Gmail account, too. This isn't corporate. Kudos to Google for keeping an eye on things like that.
Bad things were happening on it, like it had been compromised and emails
They
being
just
sent
said
out of it, or just said
that the
suspected?
password for this account was found in the password for this account was found in a breach.
Okay.
It was contained in a breach.
Well, they shouldn't, in theory, know your password. So they must be taking that data from that breach and saying, let me run it against our authentication and see if
it's either that or they're just saying, hey, this breach was able to get a hold of username and passwords. And when they saw the username, they assumed the password was too. But that's
Interesting.
okay. I applaud them for doing it. I wish every email provider did that.
Mm-hmm. It
Good for them.
makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, ignorance is not bliss. It's just
Yep.
ignorance.
It's just ignorance. And you know, you can have an opinion all you want, but when it's ignorant, it's ignorant.
Exactly.
All right, Mitch. I think that does it for me on Security Boulevard Chats this week.
I think we've hit several nails on the head, or at least taken some swings. So I had a good time.
I had
doing
fun.
It.
I had fun.
It's been great doing it. Well, definitely check out, if you're listening to this podcast or you're seeing it for the first time on one of our websites, particularly Security Boulevard, but check us out. We've got a bunch of podcasts that are available around DevOps, cybersecurity, cloud native, now AI. We talk about a lot of those. So
yeah,
we're really enjoying producing this content and helping share some of the really, a lot of great stuff on our websites, and we like to highlight some of it. So that's a real privilege to do that.
Yep.
Well,
and if you like sort of crazy old uncles talking like this, you should also check out TechStrong Gang. Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday every week, where we're joined by Mike Vizard and Sharon Florentine, Amanda Rizzini, and a whole bunch of friends at TechStrong discussing cyber and DevOps and cloud native and AI and transformation and the rest.
It's all good stuff. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. This is Mitch Ashley.
And Alan Schimmel.
Thank you for joining and listening to us on
Security Boulevard Chats.
Bye, everybody.